And hello, give me just a moment here. Popping out the chat. And hello. And hello, Lauren. Now, for those of you who are watching after the fact on the rebroadcast, don't forget, like, subscribe, bell icon, the whole nonsense, and Anycubic Photon is what I use, and the second I start talking, I get a Carlton. Is that what it is, little buddy? One of these days, for all, I'm going to get a broadcast where I don't get interrupted by a cat. Isn't that right? Yes. Okay, so today, as the title of the episode kind of gives away, the figure I'm going to be sculpting will be wearing a Tuxgown, as worn by Billy Porter at the Oscars. Although probably slightly different style-wise. Can I put you down on the floor now? Can I put you down on the floor now? Yeah. A fuzzbud. This is supposed to be a video about sculpting a miniature, not about snuggly cats. Okay, I'm putting you down on the floor. Oh, get down. Good boy. Go on. Go on, fuzzbutt. Hello! I take it that's you, Patrick? Alright. So, since you're already here, even though it's about 2 minutes early, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to swap over to no problem whenever I do the transition, it just goes. Oh, anyway, this is my basic human figure. And Carlton, can I put you down on the floor and you stay there for a while? Is that acceptable? Alright, get down, little buddy. Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to add the mace. Do you want the mace in your left hand or your right? Yes, these are all the various weapons I've done. Left-handed. Okay. And there is a flanged mace like you asked for. Now, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to slide it forward so you're holding it closer to the pommel because of how you want to hold it. I'm also going to adjust the center point. Oh, and let's rotate this. Okay. Now, the reason for that was because this staff, this mace is actually going to need to be rotated back a bit like that for the pose you want. Now let's go for finger blind, and we're going to twist it. We're also going to open it up just a little. And we need to twist it a little bit more. Actually, we need to twist it a little bit here. There. We also need to, yeah, that's actually, let's go for one last thing. There, and just a little bit here. Okay. Now, for the base geometry for the bottom half, we're going up here, and we're putting on that. It will be sculpted and tweaked and all of that. And then we're going to hide it so I can pose you. Well, excuse me. Yeah, the weapons look huge until we actually print them. I mean, it's just the way things are. Do I have anything offhand? Do I have anything with that mace? No, I don't. I do not have anything printed with that mace yet, right now. Oh well. Anyway. So what we're going to do first is we're going to pose the torso. The reason for this, for those who are watching who want to learn why I do what I do, is because there's two key aspects to getting a pose to look natural. And that's, you never have the figure's hips and shoulders parallel to each other or the ground. Okay, so we're going to give it just a little bit of a tilting. And then we're going to go to this leg, side to side. This leg is going to be mostly straight down. And then we're going to hit Control D to drop to the ground. And the front view, so we can get this foot kind of flat. Okay, and then Control D again. There we go. Oh, no. What is poking down? Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, that's acceptable. Now, we're actually going to rotate this hip a bit more, but first we're going to lock translation and rotation on the foot, and we're going to lock side to side on the shins. And then this leg will go side to side. We're going to get you in what's called a contrapposto pose. Alright, so now we're going to unpin this. And we're going to lower you down just a little bit. Whoops, too much. Okay, now let's go back to that front view. And as we can see now, there's a faint line that you can barely see right below the foot. But you can see it at this foot. The reason for that is that this particular foot is just ever so slightly passing through the ground. This foot's above it, so we're going to bring the leg side to side a little bit more. There we go. Now, okay, there we go. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring the shoulders and the abdomen kind of that's a bit much, so we're going to unside to side some of the chest, and side to side more of the abdomen. Then just a little bit of side to side on the chest. Okay. So that gives us an actual human pose that's not standing at attention. We're going to drop the arm, bring it forward like you wanted. Actually, that's too much from that body part, so we got to do it from the collar. We're going to drop from the collar, bring it forward. Then we're going to drop the arm here and bring it forward. Then we're going to drop the wrist. And fortunately, okay, that's just a bit too much on the wrist, so let's bring it to about there. Alright, also we need to go ahead and pin the feet. This little thumbtack here is what does that. And then we're going to grab the hip and we're going to move it back just a little. Okay. Then we're going to bend at the elbow here and twist at the shoulder. Okay, that may have been too much bending at the elbow. Also need to twist the elbow. Now I'm going to have to cheat here because the proportions that look good for a miniature often preclude some poses being easy. So we cheat by making the upper arm a little bit longer. And then we're going to rotate a little bit more like that. Unbend a little bit more. Then we're going to bend the fingers. Okay, now looking at it, I need to shrink that hand, because that's the whole problem that I'm having. Not a lot, just a bit. Oh. All. Okay, and then grab it and kind of bring it over a bit more to here. Now, we're going to tilt the side to the head to the other side. And we're going to do what we can for his expression in here, which is basically close the mouth. And we're going to twist it a little bit, and just a little bit to one side. Now what's going to happen is we're going to turn that into a smirk. There we go, that's better. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah. And now, do we want to have the same eyebrow? I kind of don't, because if I shrank the right hand, it would shrink the weapon too, and it would completely change the pose for the weapon. What I could do is shrink the fingers, shrink the width for this hand. The Z scale, as it's called. But as you see, that causes the mace to change. So if I shrunk it all, I'd then have to go back in and make the mace bigger. Oh, and by the way, burp. Now, do you want one eyebrow up? You want, like, which eyebrow do you want up, or does it matter? I mean, both eyebrows down makes it kind of an evil look. Both eyebrows up makes you look kind of goofy. And then there's, yeah. And then there's, yeah. Left eyebrow up. Okay. So you want him to look almost kind of slightly confused. Keep in mind that we will be bringing this corner of the mouth up when it comes time to actually sculpt. Whoa. Yeah. This is not something that you want to see, is it? Inside the head. Okay. Now, I need to make certain that really? Yes, you. Really? Down you go. It will. Now, I need to make sure that the fingers are not poking through the chest. Okay. A little bit too much. Let's bring it in there. That's good enough. Okay. Now what we'll do is we will hide the mace and the robe. This is the base body. Now before we do anything else, I do have to ask something. I'm coming back to here. I have several different bases. I mean, we've got these guys, of which the top left doesn't really fit fantasy, and the bottom right doesn't either. It's cobblestone, fancy tiles, raw stone, wood planks, grass. And then I have, again, a couple don't fit. Up there, I've got our, ancient tile. Here I've got organic, which is kind of better for demons than for people. Gravel, cracked earth. In the middle, I've got magic circle. And then I've got a mixed terrain and an asteroid, which... Yes, that kitty loves me too much. So which base do you want to be put on? Just to show you, this is what I normally do with my bases. That rounded rim, I'll paint a different color. The 4-hole tile, I'm not sure which one you meant by 4-hole tile. You mean the fancy tile? Top right, the ancient tile. Okay. Okay. Ancient tile it is. Which means we go back to here. File, import. Bases, ancient tile. And then we go back to the front view. And the first thing we do is we lower it until the feet are slightly inside it, and then we go to the top view and we move it so that you're mostly centered, or not so much centered, but centered on the front and slightly to the back in the so this way, like for example, your mace isn't actually touching. Let me check something here. 87. Okay, this needs to be 1.15% for the 115% for the mace to be back to where it should be. Yeah. Okay. I just had to make sure I was giving in right proportions here. Alright, so let me hide the base. Because from here we're going to be taking it into the sculpting program. Actually, one other thing we need to do. We need to shrink the head a little bit. Because I've changed my preferred proportion. There we go. Just a little bit. Okay. File, export. Free Sculpt Minis, broadcast, new. You know what? I honestly don't know the name of your character. Let me hide him. Hide it and unhide the mace. And then make the base. By the way, this is what it looks like closer up. It looks like rubble from most angles, but when you look above, you see the pattern that you realize it's like ruins, the tile is found in ruins. So, file, export, TG base. Okay, and then we go over to ZBrush, and it worked that time. What the hey? Kindle. Right. New document, because I just screwed up there. Okay. Import. Free Sculpt Minis. Broadcast Miniatures. Tuxgown. TG body first. And draw it in. Then, subtool, we append. And this appending, we add the robe. We append another one. And this, we add the mace. And then we append one last time. And this, we import the base. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to hide the base and the mace. The base and the mace in the face. Anyway, frame the robe. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get out the Wacom. And you might like this. My stylus. I keep in a Green Lantern power battery. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use the Move tool to give this robe a little bit of body. I'm going to take a couple of these to get it out because I've got to move it out of the area of effect. And then smooth out. We're going to add in the actual wrinkles later. And now, this is to get it out of the way of the feet. The feet are completely covered now. And then just bring it down just a little. Now we're going to shrink this brush. And we're going to pull it up so that it blends in with the waist. Okay. And then before we do anything else, zoom in on the head. And we're going to, first of all, we're going to kind of close the mouth a little. Oh, I need it. Move topological. I'm going to close the mouth some. And then now with inflate, we're going to kind of just swell the lower lip just a bit. Once again, it's exaggerated from what it really would be, but it almost has to be to really be seen on the miniature. Okay. There we go, it's better. It's more control. We're also going to use the slash tool, turning off lazy mouse, shrinking the size quite a bit, or shrinking the depth quite a bit and increasing the size to kind of exaggerate there and there. Now to give you an idea, that's about how small it's going to be. Or, no, that's too big. That's about how small it's going to be. And you can tell that there's still just barely a little bit of okay, we're also going to kind of just exaggerate the brow just a bit. And then just a bit. Okay, now we can blend the person and the clothing real quick. Merge down. We're going to divide it until it's nice and smooth looking. And then we're going over here to Dynamesh. And what this does, it kind of makes a skin around the model, mimics all of the details, and then gets rid of the model. So it basically replaces it. And what this means we can do is we can sit here and use smoothing, and oh look, it's like it's erasing the seam. We'll draw in a new seam for the jacket in just a little bit. Because the jacket won't follow that seam. And did we... Alright, now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make the jacket. To do this, we're going to have to hide the hand and the fingers. And as you can see, there's a small hole in the chest. That's not a big deal, because it's going to be covered up by the hand. Now the reason I did that is because the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to make the collar. This helps us know where the collar is. Okay, so making the collar by drawing a mask, or what's called a mask, onto the geometry of the figure. We're going to make the shirt collar in just a minute. And this is going to come over to here, in, down, and over. I'm then going to be sharpening the corners of the collar. Okay, now bringing this over. And straighten that up. We don't have to worry about the difference there. That's just to get our little our base collar together. Now what I excuse me. Now, yep, it's in the right place. But what I do is I go to Subtool, and it's going to extract and copy that. And then I'm going to hide him long enough to go to Geometry, Dynamesh at 256, and then subdivide a little. And then go back down to the first subdivision, and with a mouse about that big, I'm going to smooth out the top. Make it look more like a fold in the cloth. Okay, then I'm going to go back up. And now I'm going to use the Move tool. And what I'm going to use it for is I'm going to first pull this part of the collar out a little. Actually, turn on transparency, pull it out like this so it's in the hand, and then we're gonna bring it like this. And now, in order to do that seam, that divider, okay, go up. We're going to bring that intensity up and bring the size up. We're going to come up that way. Then smooth that just a bit. Okay. So now it's time to do the bottom of the jacket. And that doesn't need any of that. We're going to do something similar. We're going to actually, it needs to come down to there and then go back up. Because I'm assuming you want tails. Am I correct? Am I correct about the tails? Now the reason for this is this will get blended in at the top the same way I blended in the top of the gown part. Okay, now I gotta fill this in. And down on the bottom, okay. Now we extract this. And we Dynamax it at 256. And this time we're very gently smoothing in around the top here. Now, subdivide a few times, merge down. Oh, first, there, now merge down. We're going to hide the collar. And then, now that that's done, we're going to, actually we're going to use the mouse for this because we want it at 100% smoothing. Also, hide the arm. Now, smooth there, and smooth here. goes here. And now we go back to the color. Just make it visible. And back to our seam brush. And if I'm, we're going to go and draw in. Actually, I hate it when it does that. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of pull it under a bit, shrink this, and smooth down here, just to really emphasize that theme. And then we're going to use the layer tool. We're turning off lazy mouse, increasing the size, increasing the intensity quite a bit, and here we got a button right there. Now we still need to do the sleeves, the collar, the hair, and some further refinement to the face. Oh, not to mention the hands. Okay, let me zoom further out. Yep. Okay, now we're gonna hide the hands on this side, and also gonna hide the collar. What we're gonna do now is the shirt collar, which we're not gonna do the center part simply because that's where we're going to be doing the bow tie. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from up here. Come around the neck. We're going to erase to sharpen. Actually, let's bring that down a bit. And again, erase to sharpen. Now, we're going to want to try and make this one, this side, go down to the same spot. Just so that we can okay, it needs a little bit of erasure here. Okay. Okay. Now just to make sure. Okay. That's going to mean that we need to reduce some of that because we want it to be just barely meeting. Shinju, do you mind? Whenever this little white fuzz goes off to get her evening meal, she has to get pettings or she gets insane. Okay, you got your pettings, Fuzzbud. Okay, now bring up carefully. I want just enough to where it's visible past the jacket collar. And of course, she's not going to go get dinner. She just wanted pettings and was feeling left out. Okay. Okay. Oh. Just a little bit here. Okay. Now we're going to extract it. And then in order to try and straighten this a little bit, all I got to do is just smooth it. That makes it more of a straight. Yeah. Then subdivide it a couple times. And go back, and we're going to go ahead and go around the top of the collar just to make it a bit more rounded. Okay. I'm going to do the bow tie next. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to hide the collar. And we're going to do a nice, simple... Actually, no, not that high. I want to kind of lower a little bit. Okay. And then we're gonna collapse the bottom edge, make it a little bit sharper. Then we're going to extract this at 0.03. Extract, accept, draw, draw. And now here we're going to dynamesh it at 128. Subdivide it a bit. And then we're going to move the whole thing. So I wanted to make sure that it's in the right spot before I start doing the then just a little bit of inflation, which is better than economic inflation. I'm going to draw the outside edges of the bow tie. Slash to make the fold on the inside. Just a little bit of smoothing. Then put that there. We're going to extract again, this time at 0.015. And that's the knot. Merge down. Okay, and frame. Now let's go back to him. And now we need to do the shirt buttons. Once again, we're going to turn on, oh, wrong one, transparency, and go to, where is it? Scene. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to increase the intensity because we can. We're going to start, we're going to hide the fingers so we can draw up here. Then we're going to standard just give a smaller brush and give that a nice smoothing. Turn off transparency. Make it all visible. And let's give it one level of mesh smoothing. And now we're going to add the buttons. The same way we added the one on the coat, but with one small difference, and that's the size is going to be smaller. Now we need to make the cuffs. Okay. Do you want the frilled sleeves, that the lace sleeves that poked out? I'll warn you now, it won't look like lace, it'll just be sleeves. Or do you want just the jacket to end with standard white sleeves? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hide the forearms, mask everything else, and we're going to hide the rest of the extra bits. Then we're going to masking, invert, visibility, hide points. So there we have only the forearms visible without having to manually go in and make everything invisible. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw on boxes. Okay, now we're going to do unmasking. We're going to start making that grow. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to wait until it's kind of near the wrists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that should be good enough. And that's going to be extracted at a 0.2. 0.02. Extract. Accept. In case you're wondering why I did that, it's because without these there would be masking still on the figure. And we don't want that. Alright, now we're going to do a slightly different path with this one. We're going to go to Z-Remesher. Because that'll simplify the edge of the sleeves. Okay, now we're going to subdivide it a couple times and Dynamesh at 256. Okay, now we're going to that just so we have a decent amount of, and we're going to smooth it here. As you can see, it blends it in, and it's going to make it look more like sleeves and less like just bracers. Now, we're going to subdivide it a few times until they're nice and smooth. And once again, merge down. And then Dynamesh. Okay, now smooth this. Smooth here. And smooth in here. Before I do anything else, gonna need to do a very slight inflate down here, because those sleeves wouldn't hang like that. Okay. Now we go back to standard. Blend. Blend. Now, let's make the rest of the outfit visible. Let's focus on the bow tie to really emphasize the look. As you can see, he is wearing a Tuxgown, which means it's now time to start adding in the wrinkles and other bits such as the clothing seams. So we're going to start with this clay build-up brush. We're gonna draw this where the that is, and then smooth it a little. We want it to look tailored after all, not overdone. Now, we're going back to that seam brush. Only this time we're coming up from... Alright, wrong way. First of all, let's drop the intensity. And then we're going to start off down here. And come down under there. And then the same thing from here. Whenever you draw something in ZBrush, it automatically moves the center of rotation to that spot. So it does tend to get a little annoying at times. Then, on the inside, oh, no, it needs to come this way. Same token from here. And then okay. Bottom. Actually, let's make it a little bit bigger for down here. It's a little bit heavier fabric. And then there. With the mace, there are just a few things left to do on him. Obviously the hair. Speaking of armbands, I saw something outrageously, ungodly powerful in the Ravnica guide. A magic item that would turn a warlock into a machine gun. Effectively, anytime you cast a cantrip, you can cast a second cantrip as a bonus action, no matter what cantrip it is. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to do wrinkles. So we're going to drop the intensity and the size of this brush. And we're going to use this to draw on the basic form. Actually, we need to drop that intensity back up. Basic form of the wrinkles. just where they would be. But yeah, it was originally for illusionists. It was simply called Bracers of the Illusionist. I don't think they play tested it with a power gamer. Because like I said, it would turn a warlock or anybody with a firebolt or something like that into a daggone machine gun. And at higher levels, when you're doing, 40-10 with a cantrip, and any time you cast a cantrip, you cast a second one as a bonus action. That's ridiculous. Now let's smooth this out a bit. Again, we're just making the general position of the wrinkles, and we're trying to make them not quite so outrageous. Okay. Yeah, and imagine our sweet little pasta chef with access to those bracers. And it's going to be it's going to be heavier, so it's... No. I don't think she'd be a sweet little pasta chef too much longer after that. Okay, that's the basic positioning of the wrinkles. Now we're going to detail them using the slash brush. And the first thing is we're going to kind of go under the wrinkles with this. Okay. Oh, by the way, I ran this by Carl. It's something I didn't think I could even possibly get away with under Angie. But I handed a leather wax-sealed bag, to Alex's character, Caroline's character, and Carl's character. Told them what was in it, and told them that its primary purpose was, if we ever piss off Xanathar so much he decides to come after us. And it's for use on Xanathar. Throw it in his face. Can either of y'all guess what it was? There, that looks more like cloth now. And I wouldn't be so sure. You gotta remember, I'm with her in the Saturday game. And she says that she struggles to stay nice when playing Linguini. So what is in the bags that I handed Caroline, Alex, and Carl? Any guesses? Note that I chose the most intelligent members of the party. Or the most visibly intelligent members. And down here, here. Okay. Okay, that should be the wrinkles. Actually, let's smooth this out a bit. There we go. You're thinking too exotic. Think much, much, much more mundane. Also, now that we got that done, I think it's going to be time to do the hands. So, what we're going to do is we're going to inflate, making sure it's at 10, and dropping this down to about there. Yeah. First things first, I'm going to inflate the insides of these fingers so they kind of interpenetrate the collar. So that way it'll fuse a bit better and print a bit better. Okay, then I'm going to smooth out that. Then do you give up? Do you want me to tell you what was in those pouches? Also, I told him to throw them in his face, specifically. And of course they did tell him what it was, so that they didn't do any kind of accidental disruption of things. What it was powdered glass. Now imagine powdered glass in the face of something with 11 eyes. Okay, the hands are done now. Pretty much all that's left to do now is the hair. Like I said, think much more mundanely. And that's one thing Valendar has, is mundane decisions. Alright, first of all, we're going to subdivide it. I'm going to go ahead, before I do the hair, I'm going to use slash to refine parts of the face. Oh, did you see my post about that meme about the DM whose dungeon was not immersive enough? Yeah, it turns out that guy's in one of my 3D printing for D&D Facebook groups. Okay, now let's give him a hairline. Okay. And then we're gonna And now, as we've done many times before so far tonight, we're going to extract this, but at 0.015. Accept. Draw. Draw. And now we focus on his hair. And we're going to very lightly go over with the smooth brush on the hairline here. And then subdivide it a lot. Alright, now time to actually make the hair. We're going to use that clay buildup brush. Make it smaller and a little bit stronger. And we're also going to turn on back face masking just to keep it from suddenly going out. Okay. I hate it when it does that. Okay, now frame the hair, zoom out. So we're drawing the basic locks of hair right now, not the individual hairs. Yeah, I haven't talked it over. I've talked over the fact that I've done it with Carl, who actually liked the idea about the glass, but we haven't discussed what it would do. My thoughts, and back me up if you want, is that it would effectively, first things first, it makes a dex save to avoid the cloud of glass. Then it makes a Constitution save for each of its eyes. Any eye that fails its Constitution save is useless for the fight. And yes, that includes the central eye. Does that sound fair to y'all? I mean, I could be a complete jerk and say, yeah, he also has to make a con save or have just inhaled powdered glass and be utterly shredding whatever passes for lungs inside that little weird body of his, but I'm not going to be too greedy. Okay. That's only if we ever have to fight a beholder or something akin with very clearly and obviously large, bulbous, weak spots sitting out there, just begging to have some powdered glass thrown at it. what we're doing here is we're refining those locks and defining them. And then we're going to go back over and do some other style of refining. Okay, now we're going to add, we're going to go down the middle of each of these. Once again, this is for paintability. The reason being is that with hair, most people either dry brush or wash. If we just had the grooves, it'd be great for a wash, but not so great for dry brush. If we just had the ridges, it'd be great for dry brush, not so great for a wash. So, we got both. And I made sure to kind of make it slightly wavy, since that's what you said you wanted. Okay, getting some more of this hair almost done. Okay, now let's frame out. And then bring in the base, because you know it's all about that base. Okay. So, there is our Tuxgown. Admittedly, the gown part is more evening gown than the original was. The original was big, poofy gown. And as soon as I get off my show, just to let you know, oh, I see one thing I need to do. Just to let you know, as soon as I got the show, I'm going to be putting him on the printer. Let's move that right there. And right there. Oh, that's why it wasn't doing anything. Yeah, there we go. He should be done tomorrow morning, and when it's got enough light out, I'll be giving him the medium gray primer, and then the light gray dry brush to pick up the details. Okay, so what we do for now to make this printable is we got to merge it all. And then bring it up to geometry, and since it's got Dynamesh lit up, we click and drag. Okay. Now, it's 1.2 million polys. That's a bit too many polygons. If I hit this button right here, so just do one thing. There we go. Zoom in. You see how small all those little itty bitty polygons are. And they're also all the same size. That's kind of inefficient. So what we're going to do, decimation master, 50k points, 50,000 points, which would be 100,000 triangles, but it'll have more triangles where it needs them. Like the details around the face and the hands. And less triangles on places like the flat bottom of the base. Do you mind? Carlton? Yes, you. Yes. Putting you down, little buddy. Alright. Now, when we look at it, you can actually see the triangles are a lot larger, and there's more in the face and hair than there is on the base or the mace. More in the face than the base or mace. Anyway, that is the figure. That is your cleric. We're going to export it simply as what was the name? I can never remember. Kindle. Yeah. We're going to export this simply as Kindle Cleric.obj. And we're back over here. Okay. Now, apparently, alright, that last program that I've been working in is called ZBrush. Apparently, one thing about ZBrush is, at least since version 3, which is when I first got it, every update, whether it's an incremental version or a full version, has been free to people who own the license. Meaning, I own a license to ZBrush. I have ZBrush 2018. I bought it at ZBrush 3. And ZBrush 2019 has just been announced. No word on everything that's going to be in the update, but anyway. Now, it's only 9:36, so I did not watch the live stream. I was too busy getting other things done. Folders aren't that important to me. Unless I can have it explained to me why it's important for me to use folders in doing what I do. Oh, little baby girl. Yeah, little baby. Oh, kitty cat. Look at this. Yeah. You little baby girl. You're about to turn 13, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, slobber. All my cats are affectionate. All my cats love me. Blech. Yeah. Now, I will warn you. There's a chance, Patrick, that the print might fail. If it does, that means I won't be able to get it to you tomorrow night. Because I won't know it fails until it's done, and it will take about 5 hours to print. Between 4 and 6 hours, depending, because of the resolution I'm printing at. And then there's the time to, I mean, because when it comes off the machine, it's like this. Transparent green. This is an orc shaman. Anyway. So this is actually transparent red. This is Caroline's figure. I had the original print. Her ear broke off, so this is the original print. This is a gray primer with a lighter gray dry brush. And that's what I do. The primer makes the paint stick, and the dry brush helps point out some of the details that might get lost in just... Now, admittedly, paint and primer both stick to the resin just a little bit better than they stick to ABS plastic or pewter. So, yeah. But still, primer's always a good idea. So is a matte lacquer. And I don't mean matte on game. So, anybody have any questions about painting or sculpting or printing? Anything to do with these guys? Oh. This is probably the best thing I've found to date that's easily accessible to me for the miniatures. The reason it's easily accessible is the Games Workshop North American production facility is in Memphis, and they've got a battle bunker there. The zigzag foam lets you fit the figures in, even if they're oversized. And this is another one I finished yesterday. They're a little pricey, yeah, but it's a matter of buy it now for a little bit more or pay even more for shipping and the weight. Yeah. Dwarven Fighter. Or Dwarven Royal Guard, actually. My problem with Egg Crate is it doesn't keep the figures immobile enough. And when you open it, very often I've had figures stuck to the top of the box that then suddenly fall. And that's never a good thing. So, that's what I got the cases in. But if I was going to do something like that, Matt, I'd go to Wally World and buy a shotgun case. The kind that you can cut the phone to fit your gun. Ugh. Haven't you had enough camera time? I can hold you for the rest of the show unless you get too heavy. But yeah, a shotgun case. It's heavy, durable plastic. It's got the foam, and it can carry almost an entire army. And if you've got, like, say, a 40K army, you can cut holes to put your various vehicles or large mecha, like the Wraith Lord, etc. My problem with pick and pull is that once you've pick and pulled your foam, it'll only ever be in that shape. So, yes, fuzzy. Yeah. Ooh. Do you mind? What are you doing? Yes. This insane cat loves to roll over on his back in my arms. And I scratch his belly. And he does nothing but nuzzle me. He doesn't claw me. He doesn't bite. He's just like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Although sometimes he'll fall asleep like this. This is a spoiled little rat. Yes, you is. If I try to pull my hand away, like, no. Anyway, any questions on painting or sculpting? Any of that? I will say, for a lot of your painting questions, there are plenty of tutorials and all that. But this is my personal suggestion. On YouTube, if a painting tutorial has less than 20,000 views, take its advice with a grain of salt. Also, a lot of them don't tell you up front, but they're about airbrushing miniatures. Yes, they love to be cradled. Or at least he does. And so do his brother, but his brother doesn't only likes it like late at night. Yes. And as you notice, I do not declaw my cats. Man. See, look how big these claws are. Yeah. Stretchy kitty. Yeah, what? Actually, you're getting heavy, Fuzzbutt. There you go. Alright. Now, there's 13 minutes before the end of the show. I might as well go ahead and show off what I do to make sure that there's no flaws in the miniature. It's very quick and simple. Good. A lot of people don't realize that when you declaw a cat, you're cutting off the last joint of their toes. And it's not just whether they can climb or whether they've got defense. It's a cat that has been declawed has something like 3 times the chances when they get older of getting feline arthritis. And number 2, in general, cats that have been declawed do not live as long as cats that have not. Now, I don't know if you ever heard me when I was talking to Shinju, who was here but now is gone to go eat. She's about to turn 13. I've been calling her 13, but she turns 13 mid-month. The ninjas turn 7 in just a couple weeks. And you see her, she'll bound off of her bed. Just bound over and trot on out. Heck, she'll do standing jumps up to here. She'll do a jump from about 7 feet over that way to her bed. At 13, she is a healthy, vibrant cat, and I'm proud of her. I can only hope the ninjas are that vibrant when they're 13. Anyway. Oh. Now, to show you how I get them to make sure that there's no holes in the mesh, File, Import, .3D Printing Home, Meshes, Sculpt Minis Broadcast, New, Tuxgown, Kindle Cleric. Import. Okay. And here we have our Kindle Cleric. Now, what I do is this detects any open edges. So I select the whole thing. There are 67 open edges. I click cap holes. There are 19 polygons that have been used to close edges. And now, how many open edges? 0. File, Export, Export selected. 3D Printing Home, Meshes, Broadcast, New, Tuxgown. Make sure to save it as an OBJ file to Kindle Cleric. Save, yes, export, done. That's all it takes. And my figures are fixed. Well, I will see you tomorrow, Lauren. Good night. No. No, Carlton. Okay. But yeah, there's a nice, you haven't probably even seen it, Patrick, a nice selection of paint that I got. That's well over 100 bottles. Hey Emilio, you just missed the entire show. Now, like I said, when I sign off, the first thing I'm doing is I'm slicing it and putting it on here. Switchblade, cheapo 8 gig thumb drive, and putting it on the photon and printing it. Then I'm going to render it and put it, the OBJ and the STL version, up on Thingiverse as quote unquote the Tuxgown cleric, which is better than the touchdown cleric because I don't like football. Go figure. Yes, that's a lot of paint, and every single bottle except for like 2 is different. And a couple of those 2 I bought before I started collecting paint again. And then there's these. These are my mixes, my formulas. This is for washes. It's out of 20, it's 12 parts water, 7 parts medium, and 1 part flow aid. And out of 20 for glazes, 13 parts medium, 6 parts water, 1 part flow aid. I just put the paint or ink in and put the appropriate, whether I want it to glaze, where glaze is just basically it's translucent, but it's still painty. It's not as liquidy, so it tends to stay on the surfaces, on the raised edges, as well as it does into the seams. So you end up with basically tinting. Like, if I wanted this particular shirt to be a light blue, and I ended up with such a wide range that it looks like it's a medium blue, I take my light blue, I mix it with the glaze medium, unlike, say, 1 paint to 2 drops of the glaze medium, or 1 drop of paint, and then just slowly put on layers of it until it's tinted back towards that light blue. And then the wash, well, perfect example of what you do with a wash. Yay! Mix some blue and black inks, some of the wash material, and I got this. And it's what I used on this guy. Well, once again, you can't quite see it. I do not like autofocus, just as a comment. See how it's like wonderfully lined, but at the same time given a bit of shading? That wash of mine is wonderful. This is an Elven Paladin, by the way. So yes, that is what I plan to do for my next character in whichever game ends up needing a new character. It's an Elven Paladin. Alright, Shinju. Hey, Shinju. Come. Get up in your bed. You heard me. Get up here. Oh, now you're going to be snarky. Okay, come on. Good girl. Basically, I painted it a medium metal. I mean, you've got metals for just grayscale metals that range from this gunmetal shade, which is kind of like a medium dark gray, through, where is it? This silver, which, I mean, heck, you can see just how much whiter it is. I used a shade that's actually in between these two as the base. Put the wash and then touched it up. Anyway, it is now 9:57. And I'm going to do my usual of testing to make sure that I haven't gotten any lag. I'm going to hold up my hand. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to say something goofy. And then go and log out. So, good night, y'all. I will see you tomorrow night, one way or the other, Patrick. And that's going to be a 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. I can just picture Xanathar going, "My eyes! My eyes!" Good night.